Hello, my name is Caitlin Lewins, and I'm the Director of Audience Engagement and Media Relations at Cleveland Public Theater. On behalf of the staff, the board, and the artists who call CPT home, I'm excited to welcome you to the rebroadcast of Frankenstein's Wake, a Zoom adaptation by Raymond, Bobgan, and Holly Holsinger. We are so grateful that you have tuned in to view this performance. We may not be able to gather in the same room right now, but thank you for gathering with us virtually to experience art. This performance of Frankenstein's Wake, a Zoom adaptation, was originally performed live on Zoom 6 months ago on November 20th. It's being streamed this evening and will remain available to view on YouTube and Facebook until mid-June. In the theater, we have a ritual of taking a moment to shut out the outside world in an effort to immerse ourselves in the world created on stage. This ritual normally includes turning off your cell phones, but maybe you're watching this performance on your cell phone, so please don't turn it off. However, we ask that you all take a moment to create your own ritual, to open your heart and your imagination to the world being created tonight. So for me, I'm going to take a few quiet breaths. Thank you. This performance is about 45 minutes in length. Be sure to click on the link to the program in the description so you can learn more about all of the artists who created this production. Thank you for joining us, and please enjoy Frankenstein's Wake by Raymond Bobgan and Holly Holsinger.
The room is ready. The current begins to flow. Soon all will come to life in this bluish glow. I welcome you, good folks, to this dreamy game of play, where my story unfolds of a man who lost his way. There was blood on his hands and blood on his breath. He sought the luminosity of life, but found only death. Listen up, good folks, for I know you can hear with your narrowing eye and cacophonous ear. From your vantage point at the end of time, I may seem like a child to begin with a rhyme, but you must be patient to figure this out. I'm not what I seem. Give way to doubt. Figure it out, 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 out. Snap, snatty, snar, snar, glibbity glum. Look all around, look at your thumb. You don't know what or who I am. And perhaps neither do I. Oh, this story means everything to me. The story of how I... Good folks out there, have you ever asked, from where did I emerge? Where did it all begin? Have you ever felt on the verge of knowing? Have you sensed it in your heart? Where are the eyes that know mine? Why do we sometimes feel apart? We face emptiness and fear in the world as if we are alone. We call out, but our maker seems mute, silent, unknown. I believe all good folks are sometimes struck with this need to better understand, to connect with their seed, and like an orphan, I too burned for something concrete, something to give foundation, to make me feel complete. I wandered libraries, searching for some kind of hint, as if books or papers could enlighten me, if only with a glint of some kind of light. But then one day, distracted among the shelves and the cases, I chanced upon a file tied tight with leather laces, and within I found postcards, letters, and this note. From northern lands the explorer wrote, one letter, two, and then another, to a sister from a brother. To Margaret Seville, England, my dearest sister, my confidence increases every day as I imagine the success of my fated quest, the first discovery of the Northern Pole. They say the Northern Pole shall be the place of frost and desolation, but when it appears before my imagination, it is filled with beauty and delight. In either case, I shall be the first to know the truth. Your affectionate brother, Robert Walton, December 1796. Dearest sister, we have arrived at the northernmost port. From here on, there shall be no civilization, but will proceed into the great, white, unknown. What can stop the determined heart and resolved will of man? Robert Walton, March 1797. Dearest sister, something unexpected has happened. Last Monday, the mist cleared away and we beheld vast and irregular plains of ice. A strange sight suddenly attracted our attention. We perceived a sled drawn by dogs passing us heading north, and driving that sled was a being which had the shape of a man, but of large stature, and his movements were somehow inhuman yet graceful. The next day, I found all the sailors busy on one side of the vessel talking to someone in another sled. Similar, only there was a human being within it. Good God, Margaret, his limbs were nearly frozen and his body emaciated. We wrapped him up in blankets and placed him near the kitchen stove. Once, I ventured to ask, "Why have you come so far upon the ice?" And he replied, "To seek one who fled from me." "And did the one whom you pursued travel in the same fashion?" "Yes." "Well, then I fancy we've seen him. For the day before we picked you up, we saw some dogs drawing a sled with a man in it." This aroused the stranger's attention, and he asked a multitude of questions concerning the daemon, as he called him. This strange man, Victor is his name. One day I told him of my burning desire to see the Northern Pole. A dark gloom was spread over Victor's countenance. At length he spoke. "Unhappy man, you seek knowledge and wisdom as I once did. But let not the gratification of your wishes become a serpent to kill you. Prepare to hear of marvelous yet tragic occurrences. You in the shadows, perk up your ears as Victor takes the stage and the explorer disappears. For Victor is the father of this tale of dread. I can feel it in my bones, at the back of my head. Mercury, silver, gold, and lead. Victor's heart and Victor's head. Mercury to silver, lead to gold. Listen to the story Victor told. My name is Victor Frankenstein. My mother's tender caresses and my father's benevolent smiles are my earliest memories. I, Victor, their eldest child, an idol bestowed by heaven, Elizabeth. Beautiful and adored companion of all my occupations and pleasures. Sister, but not my blood sister. No words could embody our relationship. And all together we took care of my little brother William. Sweet William. Oh, and there's one more, my best friend, Henry. Henry was a boy of singular talent and fancy. He would make us act out plays and enter into masquerades of adventurous nights. But when I was 13, a spark rose up in my mind. I chanced upon some volumes of work by Cornelius Agrippa, an alchemist. As I read of his experiments towards the elixir of life, a new light seemed to dawn in my mind, and though I was still just a child, I delved into that mysterious work, reading and imagining all I could. The Lord said to the lady, let's two become one. So they danced round the circle as the moon and the sun. They danced, they prayed, took baths 1, 2, 3, and burst into one elixir for you and for me. Generation, distillation, divide, sublimate, separation, putrefaction, conceive, impregnate. Quicksilver and sulfur, salt mix and then fault. Projection, conjunction, here's how to make gold. Amen. But then, scarlet fever, Elizabeth! My mother at her side. Though her watchful attention triumphed, though Elizabeth was saved, on the 3rd day, my mother sickened. On her deathbed, she took Elizabeth's hands and mine. All my hopes for happiness are placed in your union. Take care of your little brother William, and may you find joy in each other. She died calmly. My father determined I should go to university. Goodbye, Elizabeth. Goodbye, little William. Uh-oh. Cornelius, Agrippa, alchemy. Have you really spent all your time studying such nonsense? What? Do you want more? Do you want more? What do you want more? My dear boy, you must begin anew. Chemistry, science. None but those who have experienced them can conceive of the enticements of science. I was engaged heart and soul in the pursuit of discoveries. Could life come from death? Neglecting my home, neglecting all around me. Who shall conceive of my toil? To pour a torrent of light into this dark world, to create a new species. Gravity, magnet, electric particles, these are nature's powerful forces. Rays of light reflecting, inflecting, great phenomenon, nature changing. All the operations of chemistry are therefore mere changes of force and motion, force and motion, force and virtue. Gravity and magnet, electricity can change the course of motion, force and virtue, changing nature, causing life and breath. Life and breath. Failure. Failure. Upon failure. chemistry and alchemy. His limbs were in proportion, and I had selected his features as beautiful. Beautiful, great God, place the prima materia in an earthen vessel. Place the earthen vessel into the oven. Bring the fire to life. Oh, ela, vol, eva, numa, lo, mele, omenu forgate dore. La 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 say vele say vele say vele say vele yellow eye opening, pulse, breath, motion. I felt his hand reaching. I've seen his eyes and know he knows no peace. It lives. What have I done? Away from me, Damon. Away! Victor ran, his heart filled with dread. His creature lives. Now he wishes him dead. The terror, the horror of what he left behind broke Victor's heart and broke his mind. He lost all sense of self, darkness, all-consuming fever dreams of his creatures blooming. But after some months, the fever finally broke. He told himself it was all a dream, and then he awoke. Henry was there. What a relief. He was not alone. A friend, a comfort, with a letter from home. From Elizabeth. Dearest Victor, you have been ill, very ill for a long time, and even the constant letters of dear kind Henry are not enough to reassure me on your account. Henry writes that you are getting better, but when shall I see you? We all miss you dearly. Our little brother William has become such a darling child with sweet blue eyes and curling hair. Every time William smiles, 2 little dimples appear on each cheek. On his rosy hair, and will brighten all the more with your arrival, your loving companion, Elizabeth. All seemed well. Light had emerged. Love wasn't gone. Another letter in Henry's hand beckoned him on. Last Thursday, Father, William, and I went for a long walk. The evening was warm and serene, and we prolonged our walk farther than usual. It was already dusk when we thought of returning, when we discovered that William was not to be found. We vainly sought him and waited for a long time. He did not return. We continued to search into the night with torches. About 5 in the morning, I discovered his body. Stretched out on the grass, living and motionless. William is dead, murdered. Come home, Victor. Victor's heart fell with suspicion that his fever dream was not just a vision. He journeyed home to set things right, but in the forest he glimpsed a horrific sight. Yellow eyes glowing through the mist. Yes, he is alive. The monster does exist. Is that you in the shadow? I see you, Damon. What have you done? What have I Done! The Damon just stared and then disappeared. Yes, it was exactly as Victor feared. Once home, he held Elizabeth with great care, his father sitting, sobbing in his chair. Elizabeth! Oh, Elizabeth, what's that? The murderer already captured. Good God, how could that be? I saw the Damon, he was free. Justine, our servant girl, Justine, she is the accused. No, poor girl. Victor knew in his bones this couldn't be right, and he ran to the judges to put up a fight. I commit my cause to the justice of you judges. I know you believe it was the servant girl, Justine, but I believe and rely on her perfect innocence. As to the evidence produced against her, William's pendant, the pendant, she could have come into possession of William's pendant in 100 ways. She is innocent. But there is a murderer, an inhuman creature filled with ugliness, a monster. I have seen this Damon in the forest. You must believe me. Please, you are mistaken. Poor Victor, poor Justine, they hanged her dead as Victor raged and screamed inside his own head. I wish to extinguish the life which I bestowed. I wish to see him again, that I may wreak the utmost extent of abhorrence on his head and avenge the lives of William and Justine. Vengeance, vengeance. Victor's heart was aflame. To destroy the Damon was his only aim as his hands led him up the mountainside, and deep within a cave, he found the Damon inside. Yes, the Damon had been waiting there all along, yearning to share his story, to share his song, and for a moment, this so-called monster feels less alone. He speaks not with anticipated grunt and moan, but with eloquence he opens his heart to his father, his creator. He tells his part. I'll tell it to you now, just as raw and as bare. You judge for yourself if this creature is conscious and self-aware. Oh, Creator, why do I live? La 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 Events of my birth appear to me confused and indistinct. Sight, feeling, and sound countenanced as one for an indefinite number of weeks. And it was indeed a long time before I was able to distinguish light from song, song from earth, herb from insect, and by degrees, one herb from another. In the forest, I learned I might slake my thirst in a clear brook and rid myself of hunger with berries I found hanging from trees and lying upon the ground. Here also, I learned the simple act of walking, which carried me through hills and fields. Yet, how soon I learned of the barbarity of man. For every time I encountered them, they would scream and beat me with rocks and sticks and other weapons. I was bruised and bleeding. Finally, I found a haven at the back of a cottage. I lived there unseen, And looking through a small crevice, I could see a family. Unbeknownst to them, I learned their language and their virtues. They became my ideal. Their effect upon my growth and understanding was immense. Their words induced me to ask, what am I? Am I truly a monster? This question would find answering soon, for desire grew within me to be with them, to be seen and loved. I left my shelter and approached their door. Who is there? Pardon this intrusion. I am a traveler in want of a little rest. Will enter, for the hearts of men are full of brotherly love. The door opened. Who can describe the horror on seeing me? I was dashed to the ground and beaten. My heart sank within me, and I fled. My mind yearned for he who formed me. My wandering steps drew me toward your home, while thinking of how best to locate you. I heard the sound of a beautiful child. An idea seized me. This boy was unprejudiced, and perhaps I could educate him to be my companion and friend. Then I would not be so desolate and could live in peace. I seized the boy. Let me go, you hideous monster! I do not intend to hurt you. My father is Alphonse Frankenstein, and he will punish you. Frankenstein, that name. And then I knew everything. I grasped his throat to silence him. In a moment, he lay dead at my feet, a glittering pendant on his breast. I came to an old barn. Inside, I found a young woman asleep. I knelt beside her, and for an unknown reason, I whispered, "My love." Then fear gripped me. Should she wake, not a beautiful smile, but screams and horror. Thoughts stirred in madness. Not I, but she shall suffer. I placed the boy's pendant deep in the folds of her dress. I wandered through these mountains and arranged their immense recesses, consumed with a burning desire which only you can gratify. You must create a female for me, with whom I can live, and make her a monster just like myself. I am malicious because I am miserable. I cause fear because I cannot inspire love. What I ask is reasonable and just. You made me incomplete. If you consent, we will disappear to the vast wilds of a distant continent. Oh, Creator, save me. I mark your promise. I shall watch the progress of your labors with great anticipation, and when you have completed the task, I shall appear. What's that I hear? Someone talking about me? As Victor makes an oath about a bride to be, silence rains down to depart. New hope rises in the daemon's heart. Victor, on the other hand, aches with regrets. in the arms of Elizabeth, he tries to forget that promise he made in the mountains above to create a female for the daemon to love. He knows he must do it to ever be at rest and fulfill his desire and his mother's dying request to marry Elizabeth. That childhood dream would bring happiness and light, or so it would seem. But first he must end this business at hand. Not here, too dangerous. In another land. And once he brought the female to life, he'd return a free man and take Elizabeth as his wife. Her limbs were in proportion, and her yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries. Her watery eyes seemed the same color as which they were set. My heart screams at the work of my hands. I was moved by the creature's threats and arguments, but now the wickedness of my promise bursts upon me. I will not do it. Burn it. Burn it all. You have destroyed the work which you began. Be gone. Do you dare break your promise away from me? Damon, you dare destroy my hopes? I shall never create another as yourself. Man, so full of wickedness, beware, you cannot move me. You are my creator, you cannot move me. But I am your master, you only confirm my resolutions. Be gone, monster! Shall every man find a wife? Each beast have a mate? Only I be alone? Man, you shall repent for the injuries you inflict. I shall be with you on your wedding night. The daemon dissolved in darkness. Victor turned away from that disfigured female's face. But something stirred inside that burned out place. An ember sparked, began to glow and flame, infecting, giving life's fine force and grace, invading, filling all the female's frame, until a living creature she became. Good folks, did you hear what I said? I tell it as it was. I know my source. The female creature, she isn't dead. But let's return to tales of great remorse. Perhaps the daemon could have changed his course, but he was unaware of his new mate, and now began a vengeful path of force the heart of Victor he would desolate, as the daemon's love and kindness were consumed in hate. And if you saw your God turn his back on you, tell me truthfully, what would you do? Well, this creature would exact his revenge one by one. First, it was Henry's life that would be undone. Victor's reply was one of pure hate. Do you hear me, monster? You say a deadly struggle shall take place, but if I die, then at least shall I rest. But if I vanquish you, then shall I be free, and Elizabeth shall redeem my guilty heart. Come to me, Damon. I am ready to meet your hideousness. Victor stood ready to do battle on his wedding night, but the Damon had another plan in sight. Elizabeth! No! Why didn't you take me? You were supposed to take me! One by one, he snatched away every last one. William, Justine, Henry, Elizabeth! I will hunt you to the ends of the earth. Enough! 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 Enough. Victor, poor Victor, you are long since dead. And though I've let you swim around inside my head, you must now leave my memory's cave and return to your own icy grave. Entwined within the Damon's arms you rest. And though you called him monster, demon, beast, how I do envy you your place to pass the time against his strong, inhuman breast. The Damon, without mercy, drew you on. You followed him with vengeance, hate, and pride, until in that cold land of snow and ice, your life, corrupted to the core, came to an end. Far north of this small room, good folks, upon a ship, Victor Frankenstein collapsed. His final friend, the ambitious explorer, watched the final moments. But then, a third one entered, with eyes of yellow, great in size, my more than brother, the Damon. He moved up close to Victor's lifeless form, beholding our Creator's final breath. With massive arms, he lifted up the corpse and bounded off that ship onto a fragment of ice, drifting north. With Victor, dead Victor, in his arms, the Damon began his arduous walk to the northern pole. Ice clung to the pair, first as frost, then as sheets and blankets. But the Damon forced his way until, at that mythic place of magnetism, the beast and his burden became still. It's true. You've guessed it, or surmised. I'm the one the Damon prized above all else. It took me 100 years to learn I'm the one Victor tried to burn. A female made for a daemon's heart. I rose from ashes unknown, alone and apart, and though I've never seen his face, every night I dream of his inhuman grace. My beloved Damon lives. I can feel it in my soul, frozen but aware, bound in ice, turning at the speed of time. He looks. He sees not a cloud in the sky, only sun, with the ice reflecting, refracting, inflecting, creating more and more suns. The Damon for now knows nothing but light. And what, you wonder, will become of me? I wait and watch in this unending wake for future times foretold by prophecy, when this earth shall warm and soon ice will crack and break, and then at last the Damon will be free, and I shall know wholeness and harmony. La 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 la